The last resort. The alien mothership cast a shadow that stretched across 3 states, its obsidian surface drinking in the sunlight like a cosmic leech. John Kane watched the news footage from his underground bunker, his weathered hands methodically cleaning a shotgun that the alien commander had just dismissed as primitive. The irony wasn't lost on him. "Your weapons are primitive relics," the alien commander, Valor, had declared through the neuro-linguistic system that made his sneering face appear on every screen worldwide. "Your tactics? Laughable. Resistance is futile. Accept assimilation into the Galactic Coalition, or face obliteration." Kane's fingers tightened around the shotgun's barrel. 25 years in the Marines, another decade as a private military contractor, and 5 years as a survivalist had taught him one thing: there was no such thing as a primitive weapon in the hands of someone who knew how to use it. The broadcast continued, showing Valor's smug face as he elaborated on Earth's technological inadequacies. Behind him, holographic displays showcased Earth's military capabilities, comparing them to the Galactic Coalition's arsenal. The difference was stark, like comparing stone spears to nuclear weapons. "We will not even deploy our full forces," Valor continued, his translator perfectly rendering his contempt. "A mere detachment of our soldiers will suffice to bring you to heel." Kane set down his cleaning cloth and stood, his 6'3" frame casting a long shadow in the bunker's dim light. Around him, racks of weapons lined the walls, everything from hunting rifles to military-grade assault weapons. Each one maintained with religious dedication, each one now supposedly obsolete. His secure communications unit crackled to life. "Kane. You watching this shit?" He recognized General Mitchell's voice immediately. They'd served together in Damascus, back when the world made more sense. "Roger that, sir. We're getting our asses handed to us before the fight even starts," Mitchell said, his voice tight with frustration. "The president's advisors are split between immediate surrender and a suicidal nuclear response." Kane checked his shotgun's action, the familiar click-clack echoing off the concrete walls. "And what do you think, sir?" There was a pause on the line. "I think we need someone who remembers how to fight dirty. Someone who doesn't give a damn about protocols or proper channels. Someone like you, John." The words hung in the air like smoke after a firefight. Kane had spent the last 5 years in self-imposed exile, watching as warfare became increasingly automated, sterile, and distant. Push-button conflicts fought by drones and AI systems. But now, facing an enemy that made even their most advanced systems look like children's toys, maybe it was time for a different approach. "Where do you need me?" Kane asked, already moving to his equipment locker. "Pentagon. 2 hours. I'll have a chopper waiting at your nearest extraction point." Mitchell's voice dropped lower. "And John. Bring your toys. All of them." The line went dead, leaving Kane alone with his thoughts and his arsenal. He moved with practiced efficiency, selecting weapons and equipment with the careful consideration of a surgeon choosing instruments. His shotgun, a custom Benelli M4 that had seen him through 3 tours, went into the case first. Following it were his modified AR-15, a Barrett .50 cal for good measure, and enough ammunition to start a small war. As he packed, his mind wandered to the alien ships hovering above major cities worldwide. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Energy shields that could shrug off nuclear strikes, weapons that could vaporize entire city blocks, and AI systems that made Earth's best supercomputers look like pocket calculators. But Kane had learned something in his years of combat: the more advanced the enemy, the more they relied on their technology. The more they relied on their technology, the more they forgot the basics. And the more they forgot the basics, the more vulnerable they became to someone who remembered them. He grabbed his tactical vest, loaded with ceramic plates that could stop most Earth-based ammunition. Would they do anything against alien weapons? Probably not. But armor wasn't just about stopping bullets, it was about staying alive long enough to kill the other guy. The extraction point was a cleared area 3 miles from his bunker. Kane covered the distance in 20 minutes, moving through the forest with the silent efficiency that had kept him alive in countless combat zones. The helicopter was already waiting, its black form nearly invisible against the night sky. As he climbed aboard, he caught sight of the alien mothership through a break in the clouds. It hung there like a metal mountain, a testament to technological superiority that made humanity's greatest achievements look like cave paintings. Impressive, isn't it? The pilot's voice crackled through his headset. Kane secured his equipment and strapped himself in. Size isn't everything. The helicopter lifted off, banking toward Washington. Below, cities glowed with an uneasy light, their streets filled with people alternating between panic and resignation. The world was holding its breath, waiting to see if humanity would survive the next few days. The Pentagon was a hive of activity when they arrived. Military personnel and civilian officials rushed through corridors, their faces masks of controlled fear. Kane followed his escort through security checkpoints, noting how the guards eyed his weapons with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. General Mitchell met him outside the main situation room. The years hadn't been kind to either of them, but Mitchell's silver hair and lined face couldn't hide the steel in his eyes. "Glad you could make it, John." "Wouldn't miss it, sir." Kane adjusted the strap of his equipment bag. "Though I'm guessing not everyone's happy to see me." Mitchell's grimace confirmed it. "The Joint Chiefs are divided. Half of them think we should surrender now and save lives. The other half want to go down fighting with our high-tech toys. Nobody wants to hear from a dinosaur with outdated tactics." "Until now," Kane said. "Until now." Mitchell pushed open the situation room doors. "Let's show them how dinosaurs hunt." The room fell silent as they entered. Around a massive holographic display of Earth and the alien fleet, military leaders and civilian officials stood in clusters, their conversations dying mid-sentence. The president, a woman whose campaign had promised peace and prosperity, stood at the head of the table. "Mr. Kane," she said, her voice carrying the weight of office and exhaustion. "General Mitchell speaks highly of your unconventional approach to problems." Kane set his bag down with a heavy thud. "Ma'am, right now unconventional might be all we've got." A man in an expensive suit, some kind of technical advisor, judging by the tablet in his hands, stepped forward. "With all due respect, our analysis shows that even our most advanced weapons systems barely register against their shields. What exactly do you think you can accomplish with," he gestured at Kane's bag, "conventional firearms?" Kane unzipped his bag slowly, deliberately. "Tell me something, Doctor. Have you ever been in a real fight? Not a simulation, not a war game. A real, bloody, up-close fight." The man's silence was answer enough. These aliens, they're used to fighting wars with computers and energy weapons. They've forgotten what it means to look their enemy in the eye. Kane pulled out his shotgun, the metal gleaming under the room's harsh lights. "They think we're primitive because we still know how to spill blood with our hands." "That's your plan," another official scoffed. "Get close enough to shoot them with buckshot?" "No," Kane said, his voice hardening. "My plan is to remind them that technology isn't everything. That humans have been killing each other for thousands of years, and we've gotten pretty damn good at it. They might have better weapons, but we know how to fight. Really fight." The president studied him for a long moment. "And how exactly do you propose to do that?" Kane moved to the holographic display, his fingers moving through the light to zoom in on one of the alien ships. "They're arrogant. They think their technology makes them invincible. But every defense has a weak point. Every soldier has blind spots. And right now, their biggest blind spot is us, the primitives they've already dismissed." He looked around the room, meeting each pair of eyes in turn. "I need a small team. Not soldiers trained on computers, but fighters who remember what it means to get their hands dirty. Give me that, and I'll show these aliens that sometimes the old ways are the best ways." The room erupted in arguments, but Kane noticed something in the president's expression, a glimmer of hope, or maybe just desperate resignation. Either way, he knew he had her attention. "How many?" she asked, silencing the room. 12, Kane replied without hesitation. "I have some names in mind." The president nodded slowly. "You have 24 hours to assemble your team. After that, we'll need to either surrender or launch our nuclear response." 24 hours, Kane repeated. "That's all we'll need." As he left the room, he could feel the weight of their doubt pressing against his back. But doubt was nothing new to him. He'd carried it through jungles, deserts, and urban warfare zones. Doubt was just another piece of equipment, as familiar as his shotgun. The alien ships might dominate the sky, their technology might make humanity look like children playing with sticks, but Kane knew something they didn't: sometimes the primitive way was the deadliest way. And he was about to teach them that lesson, one shell at a time. General Mitchell caught up with him in the corridor. "You really think this can work?" Kane checked his watch, already mentally reviewing the list of names he needed to contact. "Sir, remember what you told me in Damascus? Sometimes the dumbest plan is the only one that works." Mitchell's laugh was sharp and short. "Because nobody expects it." "Exactly," Kane said, patting his shotgun. "And right now, these aliens aren't expecting anything from us primitive humans." Above them, through the Pentagon's reinforced windows, the alien mothership continued its silent vigil, unaware that its greatest threat wasn't Earth's advanced weapons systems, but a man with a shotgun and a very old-fashioned idea about how to fight a war. The next 24 hours would change everything. Either humanity would learn to kneel, or the aliens would learn to bleed. And John Kane had never been very good at kneeling. Assembly of Warriors. The underground facility beneath Fort Bragg hummed with nervous energy as John Kane stood before a wall of screens, each displaying a different face he'd personally selected. These weren't the fresh-faced soldiers who'd grown up with neural interfaces and drone controls. These were the old guard, the ones who'd learned warfare the hard way. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kane addressed the screens, "welcome to humanity's last-ditch effort." "Cut the dramatics, John," Sarah Chen's voice crackled through the speakers. The former Delta Force operator's face showed the same intensity she'd had during their joint operation in Venezuela. "Mitchell already briefed us. You're proposing we take on an advanced alien civilization with conventional weapons." "That's right." Kane pulled up footage of the alien ships. "And I'm proposing it because it's the last thing they'll expect." Marcus "Ghost" Rodriguez, his face half hidden in shadow, leaned forward. "I'm listening." One by one, Kane outlined his selections: Sarah Chen, close-quarters combat specialist and demolitions expert. Marcus Rodriguez, former Navy SEAL sniper with more confirmed kills than any other marksman in U.S. history. Diana Wells, Army Rangers, specialized in improvised warfare and trap setting. The list went on, each person a master of their craft, each one considered obsolete in the age of automated warfare. "The aliens have analyzed all our military capabilities," Kane continued, "but they're looking at our drones, our missiles, our AI-driven defense systems. They're not looking at us. Because they think we're beneath notice," Diana said, a predatory smile crossing her face. "Just like the Taliban thought our conventional forces were obsolete against their IEDs." "Exactly." Kane brought up schematics of the alien vessels, courtesy of Earth's best attempts at scanning their technology. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles. They're expecting missiles and lasers, not shotgun shells and combat knives." "You're suggesting we get up close and personal," Ghost said. It wasn't a question. "That's right. While they're watching for our big guns, we're going to slip through their defenses and show them how humans fought before we had all this fancy technology." The screens filled with thoughtful nods. These were people who understood that sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones. I'm in, Chen said first. Better than sitting around waiting for the end. One by one, the others agreed. Within hours, they were converging on Fort Bragg from various corners of the globe. The president had given them carte blanche, anything they needed, no questions asked. It might have been desperation on her part, but Kane would take it. While they waited for the team to assemble, Kane and General Mitchell worked on intel. The alien ships had maintained their positions above major cities, their presence a constant reminder of humanity's vulnerability. But they'd made no aggressive moves yet, confident in their ultimatum. They're studying us, Mitchell said, reviewing satellite footage. Looking for signs of surrender or resistance. Good, Kane replied. Let them look. They won't see us coming. The first team members arrived within 6 hours. Chen appeared first, carrying a duffel bag that clinked with promises of destruction. Ghost materialized like his namesake, somehow already knowing the facility's layout. Diana Wells arrived with a truck full of specialized equipment that made the security guards nervous. As each member arrived, Kane led them to the facility's main briefing room. The space had been converted into a war room, with maps and diagrams covering every surface. At the center stood a detailed hologram of their primary target, one of the smaller alien vessels that had broken formation to patrol the eastern seaboard. Our target, Kane announced once everyone had assembled. A scout ship, according to our best analysis. Crew of maybe 20, minimal defensive capabilities compared to the larger vessels. Minimal by their standards is still beyond anything we've got, Chen pointed out, examining the hologram. By conventional means, yes. Kane pulled out his shotgun, the action sliding with a familiar click. But we're not going to fight them conventionally. He laid out the plan. It was audacious, probably suicidal, and exactly the kind of thinking that had kept him alive in impossible situations before. The ship maintains a regular patrol pattern, he explained, tracing the route with his finger. Every 48 hours, it passes over this mountain range at low altitude. Something about the mineral composition interests them. Diana studied the topographical maps. Perfect terrain for an ambush. Exactly. We're going to set up here, here, and here. Kane marked 3 positions. When the ship passes overhead, we'll use modified grappling equipment to board it. Board it? Someone whistled low. You're not thinking small, are you? Small thinking is what got us here, Kane replied. They expect us to either surrender or launch some futile large-scale attack. They don't expect 12 humans with basic weapons to even try something like this. The room filled with the kind of tension that preceded either disaster or triumph. These were people who'd made careers out of achieving the impossible, but this was beyond anything they'd attempted before. Once we're aboard, Kane continued, we split into 3 teams. Ghost, you and your team will handle their communication systems. Make sure they can't call for help. Chen, your team takes engineering, find a way to shut down their shields and weapons. My team will head for the bridge. And if we encounter resistance? Ghost asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Kane patted his shotgun. We show them why humans survived on Earth long before we had energy weapons and force fields. The next few hours were spent in preparation. Each team member selected their weapons and equipment with the care of artists choosing their tools. Traditional firearms were modified with special ammunition designed to minimize ricochet in enclosed spaces. Combat knives were sharpened to surgical precision. Explosive charges were carefully measured and prepared. Diana's contribution was particularly interesting, a series of improvised devices that combined old-world craftsmanship with modern materials. They might be able to detect electronic triggers, she explained, but they won't be looking for mechanical ones. As the team prepared, Kane received regular updates from Mitchell. The alien ships maintained their positions, their crews probably amused by Earth's apparent paralysis. Valor had made another broadcast, his smugness growing with each passing hour. Your leadership debates while your time runs out, the alien commander had declared. Perhaps you require a demonstration of our power? One of their ships had then proceeded to disable every electronic device in Seattle with a single pulse of energy. No destruction, no casualties, just a casual display of technological superiority that sent markets crashing and governments scrambling. They're playing with us, Chen observed, watching the footage. Good, Kane replied. The more they underestimate us, the better our chances. As the 24-hour deadline approached, the team gathered for final preparations. Each person checked and rechecked their equipment, ran through the plan again, and prepared themselves for what might be humanity's last stand. One last thing, Kane addressed them. Once we're on that ship, we're not just soldiers anymore. We're humanity's last hope, yes, but we're also something else. We're a reminder of what humans really are, not just users of technology, but survivors. Fighters. The kind of creatures that climb to the top of the food chain with nothing but determination and the will to win. He looked each team member in the eye. These aliens think they're superior because they have better technology. Let's show them that technology isn't everything. Let's show them why humans are the most dangerous species on our planet. The room filled with grim nods and determined expressions. These were warriors who'd been pushed aside by the march of technology, told their skills were obsolete in the modern age. Now those same obsolete skills might be humanity's last hope. As they moved out to their positions in the mountain range, the alien ship continuing its patrol overhead, unaware of what awaited it, Kane couldn't help but smile. The aliens had called their weapons primitive relics. They were about to learn that sometimes, primitive was exactly what you needed. The hunt was about to begin, and for the first time since the aliens arrived, humanity wasn't going to be the prey. First blood. The mountain air bit cold and sharp as Kane lay prone on the rocky outcropping, his breath forming small clouds in the pre-dawn light. Above, stars still dotted the sky, though their eternal dance was now interrupted by the looming shapes of alien vessels. Through his scope, he watched their target approaching, right on schedule. Ghost, report, he whispered into his throat mic. Team 2 in position, came the whispered reply. Chen's got her people ready on the south face. The alien scout ship moved with deliberate slowness, its sensors probing the mineral deposits that had drawn its interest. Its sleek hull reflected the starlight, making it look more like a piece of abstract art than a warship. At its current altitude, it was barely 500 feet above the mountaintop. Remember, Kane broadcast to all teams, we get one shot at this. Make it count. Diana's voice crackled through his earpiece. Charges are set. They'll never see it coming. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. While the alien ship was distracted by its mineral survey, Diana's specially designed charges would create an electromagnetic pulse, not strong enough to damage the ship's systems, but enough to create a momentary flicker in its shields. In that split second, their grappling equipment would attach to the hull. 30 seconds, Ghost reported. Kane tightened his grip on the modified grappling gun. The device looked like something from a museum compared to the alien technology above them, but that was the point. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. 10 seconds. The ship's hull began to glow faintly as it activated its scanning beams. Perfect, its sensors would be focused downward, not on the surrounding peaks. Now. Diana's charges detonated simultaneously, sending invisible waves of electromagnetic disruption through the air. For a fraction of a second, the ship's shield shimmer faltered. Fire. 12 grappling lines shot upward through the gap, their specially designed heads piercing the hull before the shields could re-establish themselves. The aliens had designed their defenses to stop energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles, not simple hooks moving at relatively low speeds. Line secure. Chen reported. Beginning ascent. Kane clipped his harness to the line and started up, his modified shotgun secured across his back. Around him, other team members did the same, their movements swift and practiced. They'd trained for this exact scenario for the past 24 hours, though nothing could truly prepare them for scaling the hull of an alien spacecraft. The ship's surface was surprisingly warm to the touch, its metallic skin thrumming with hidden power. As they climbed, Kane kept expecting alarms to sound, for the aliens to realize their vessel had been breached. But their entry method had been too primitive, too far beneath the sophisticated detection system's notice. Breach points identified, Ghost reported, reaching his position first. Beginning cut. The team had divided their entry points around the ship's hull, choosing locations their analysis suggested would be maintenance access points. While the aliens might have energy shields and advanced weapons, they still needed ways to service their vessel's exterior. Diana's specially designed cutting tools, again, purely mechanical in nature, began slicing through the hull. The alien metal was incredibly strong, but it wasn't invincible. Especially not against tools specifically designed to exploit its molecular structure. First breach complete, Chen reported from her position. We're going in. Kane reached his breach point just as Ghost's team disappeared inside the ship. The opening was barely wide enough to squeeze through, its edges still hot from the cutting process. Inside, pale blue light illuminated corridors that seemed to have been designed by artists rather than engineers. Remember, he whispered to his team as they entered, they're not expecting hand-to-hand combat. Use it to your advantage. They'd barely taken 3 steps when they encountered their first alien. The creature rounded a corner and froze, its elongated features registering surprise. Before it could reach for what looked like a weapon, Kane closed the distance. The alien was tall, nearly 7 feet, but it moved with the awkward hesitation of something that had never expected to face close combat. Kane's combat knife found its mark before the alien could even process what was happening. The blade, designed to penetrate the alien's tough skin, sank deep. Dark fluid sprayed the corridor walls as the creature collapsed, its death more shocking for its silence. First blood, Kane reported, wiping his blade. They bleed just like anything else. Throughout the ship, similar scenes were playing out. Chen's team encountered a group of aliens in what appeared to be an engineering section. The aliens reached for their energy weapons, but in the confined space, against opponents who'd closed to knife-fighting range, their technological superiority meant nothing. Engineering secured, Chen reported several minutes later, her breath heavy. These bastards don't know the first thing about close combat. It's like they forgot how to fight without their toys. Ghost's team had similar success. The aliens' communication center fell quickly, its operators too shocked by the primitive violence to mount an effective defense. Comms disabled, Ghost reported. They won't be calling for help. But it wasn't all one-sided. In a corridor near the ship's core, one of Diana's team members rounded a corner too quickly and caught a full blast from an alien weapon. The energy beam turned him to ash instantly, leaving nothing but a scorched outline on the wall. We've lost Jackson, Diana reported, her voice tight. These weapons pack a hell of a punch if they connect. Keep moving, Kane ordered. Don't give them time to organize. His team fought their way toward the bridge, encountering increasingly desperate resistance. The aliens were learning, trying to maintain distance, but the ship's architecture worked against them. Every corridor and intersection became a close-quarters nightmare, with Kane's team exploiting their expertise in this most primitive form of combat. They're sealing the bridge, someone reported. Kane smiled grimly. Diana, you're up. More of her special charges were placed around the bridge's sealed entrance. These weren't designed to create EMPs, these were pure explosive force, carefully calculated to exploit weaknesses in the alien metal structure. The explosion rocked the ship, sending smoke and debris flying. Through the breach, Kane could see the bridge crew scrambling for weapons. At their center stood a familiar figure, Commander Valor himself, his face twisted with incomprehension and rage. Impossible, the alien leader sputtered as Kane's team poured through the smoke. Your weapons are primitive. Your technology inferior. That's right, Kane agreed, pumping his shotgun. We're primitive. We're inferior. We're exactly what you said we were. He leveled the weapon at Valor's chest. We're also really good at killing things. The bridge erupted into chaos. Energy weapons discharged, filling the air with deadly light, but Kane's team had trained for this. They moved in pairs, one drawing fire while the other closed to lethal range. The alien superior technology meant nothing when a combat knife was already inside their guard. Valor managed to wound two of Kane's team with his weapon before Kane reached him. The alien commander was strong, his natural armor tough, but he had never faced an opponent who fought with such brutal efficiency. When Kane's knife found the joint between Valor's armor plates, the alien's eyes widened with something like revelation. You. Valor gasped, dark fluid leaking from his wound, you really are primitives. Damn right, Kane twisted the blade. And primitives know how to survive. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of machinery and the heavy breathing of the survivors. Bodies, both human and alien, littered the floor, testament to the ferocity of the fight. Bridge secured, Kane reported, keying his radio. Status? Engineering locked down, Chen replied. We've figured out their basic systems. You're not going to believe what we found. Communications center secure, Ghost added. But we've got a problem. The mothership is asking for status reports. They're going to know something's wrong soon. Kane looked around the bridge, at the advanced technology now stained with very primitive bloodshed. They'd taken the ship, proved that humanity's old ways still had value, but this was just the beginning. Now they had to figure out how to use this victory to save Earth. Good, he said, checking his shotgun's ammunition. Let them know something's wrong. Let them come investigate. He smiled, thinking of the lessons they'd taught this ship's crew. We've got more primitive tactics to show them. Hidden weaknesses. Blood dripped from the bridge console as Kane studied the alien displays, their strange symbols now translated through the ship's neuro-linguistic system. Behind him, Chen and her team were securing the surviving alien crew members, while Ghost's group worked on understanding the vessel's communication systems. You need to see this, Chen called from engineering, her voice tight with excitement. Remember how they said their technology was so advanced we couldn't hope to understand it? Let me guess, Kane replied, stepping over Valor's body. They lied. Better than that. They stole it. The engineering section was a maze of pulsing conduits and humming machinery. Chen stood before a large display, her fingers dancing across the alien interface with surprising confidence. Look at this. Their entire technological base, it's not theirs. They're using adapted technology from other species they've conquered. Ghost materialized from the shadows, his expression grim. That matches what we found in the comm center. They're not a coalition. They're parasites. They find civilizations with useful technology, overwhelm them with stolen tech from previous conquests, then absorb whatever advances that civilization has made. Kane's mind raced with the implications. So their shields, their weapons. All stolen, Chen confirmed. And here's the best part, they barely understand how half of it works. They're like kids playing with stolen toys. Advanced kids, sure, but they don't truly understand the principles behind the technology. That's why they're so reliant on their automated systems, Diana added, joining them. They don't know how to fix things when they break. They just replace modules wholesale. A slow smile spread across Kane's face. And that's why they were so shocked by our tactics. They've forgotten how to fight without their stolen advantages. The moment was interrupted by an alarm from the bridge. Ghost checked a nearby display. Multiple ships breaking formation. Looks like they noticed something's wrong. How long? Kane asked. 10 minutes, maybe less. Kane nodded, his mind already formulating a plan. Chen, what else can you tell me about their systems? Their shields are incredibly advanced, but they're designed to stop energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles. They never bothered adapting them against simpler threats because they've never needed to. And their weapons. She pulled up another display. They're powerful but predictable. They follow fixed targeting protocols they probably copied from whoever they stole them from. Weaknesses? Plenty, if you know where to look. Chen's fingers flew across the console. The biggest one. Their entire command and control structure is centralized. Each ship is linked to the mothership through quantum channels. Break that link. And the stolen tech starts to fail, Ghost finished. Their automated systems can't adapt without the mothership's guidance. Kane checked his shotgun, more out of habit than necessity. So we hit the mothership. The room fell silent. Even for a group accustomed to impossible missions, attacking the aliens' command ship seemed suicidal. The vessel was massive, its defenses far more formidable than the scout ship they'd captured. We can use this ship, Diana suggested, already thinking ahead. They won't expect an attack from one of their own vessels. They will now, Ghost countered. After what happened here, they'll be suspicious of any ship that approaches. Good. Kane's voice carried the same tone it had in Damascus, when he'd led a mission everyone said was impossible. Let them be suspicious. Let them focus on the ship. They won't be looking for what's really coming for them. He gathered his team around a holographic display of the mothership. Chen, you said their shields stop energy weapons and fast projectiles. What about slow ones? A light of understanding dawned in Chen's eyes. Like boarding pods? Exactly. Their shields are calibrated for threats moving at high velocity. Something moving slowly enough might slip right through. We could modify the ship's escape pods, Diana suggested, already running calculations. Strip out the propulsion systems, let them drift ballistically. Their trajectory would look like debris. Ghost studied the mothership's image. They'd still detect us on approach. Not if they're distracted. Kane pointed to the scout ship's weapon systems. We load this ship with explosives, set it on a collision course with their primary shield generator. While they're focused on the obvious threat. We slip through in the pods, Chen finished. Using their own assumptions against them again. The plan took shape quickly. Diana's team began modifying the escape pods, stripping them down and rigging simple mechanical launch systems. Chen's group worked on overloading the scout ship's power core, turning it into a massive bomb. Ghost and his people mapped the mothership's likely defensive responses based on the tactical data they'd found. As they worked, more alien ships appeared on their sensors. The enemy was gathering, preparing to deal with whatever had compromised their scout ship. They were about to learn that humans were far more dangerous than they'd assumed. 5 minutes to intercept, Ghost reported. Kane gathered his remaining forces, 11 now, after their losses in taking the scout ship. You all know the plan. Once we launch, there's no turning back. The pods will look like debris, but if they spot us, we're dead, Chen finished. Tell us something we don't know. The modified pods were crammed with weapons and equipment. Each one had been carefully calculated to approach the mothership at exactly the right speed, fast enough to reach it, slow enough to slip through its shields. It was the kind of solution that would never have occurred to the aliens, who'd grown too dependent on their stolen technology. First wave of ships entering firing range, Ghost reported from his console. Launch the scout ship, Kane ordered. Their captured vessel surged forward, its power core building to critical levels. As expected, the approaching alien ships immediately focused on this obvious threat, their weapons charging. Now. The pods launched silently, tumbling into space like so much battle debris. Inside, Kane and his team held on as their simplified vessels followed their calculated trajectories. Through small viewports, they could see energy weapons blazing as the alien fleet engaged their former scout ship. "They're not seeing us," Chen reported over their secure channel. Too focused on the ship. The mothership grew larger in their view, its massive hull now alive with energy as it coordinated the defense against what it thought was their only attack. Lights flickered across its surface as weapon systems tracked the approaching scout ship. Impact in 30 seconds, Ghost counted down. The scout ship exploded spectacularly, its overloaded core releasing enough energy to temporarily blind their sensors. In that moment of chaos, the pods slipped through the mothership's outer shields, their slow speed and simple construction rendering them invisible to defenses designed to stop more sophisticated threats. "Prepare for impact," Kane ordered. The pod struck the mothership's hull with precisely calculated force, enough to attach, not enough to destroy themselves. Mechanical clamps engaged, securing them to the massive vessel. "Cutting charges ready," Diana reported. "Do it." Once again, primitive tools proved their worth. The aliens had defense systems to detect energy weapons, explosives, and every other high-tech method of breaching a hull. They had nothing designed to detect simple thermite charges burning through their armor at specific weak points. "We're in." Kane checked his weapons one last time before leading his team into the breach. They had surprised the aliens once with their primitive tactics. Now they would do it again, this time at the heart of their fleet. The mothership's corridors were larger, more ornate than the scout ships. Everything spoke of power and technological superiority. But as Kane's team moved through the vessel like ghosts, they saw the truth: beneath the stolen technology and borrowed power, these conquerors were vulnerable to the oldest forms of warfare. "Remember," he whispered to his team, "they've forgotten how to fight up close. Let's remind them." Ahead lay the mothership's command center, and with it, the key to saving Earth. The aliens were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology, it was its memory of how to fight without it. Primal victory. The mothership's central command center stretched before them like a cathedral to stolen technology. Massive displays showed the battle raging outside, where the alien fleet still focused on the debris of their sacrificed scout ship. They hadn't yet realized that their greatest threat was already inside their sanctum. "Look at this place," Chen whispered, her eyes scanning the various control stations. "It's like a museum of conquered civilizations." She was right. Each console, each weapon system, each piece of technology bore subtle differences in design and function. The aliens hadn't just stolen technology, they'd created a patchwork empire from the achievements of those they'd defeated. "These readings are incredible," Diana added, checking her modified scanner. "The quantum core powering this ship, it's like nothing we've ever seen." "Focus," Kane reminded them. "Ghost, status." The sniper materialized from his observation point. "Heavy security around the main control room. At least 30 guards, all armed with energy weapons. They're nervous, the attack has them on edge." "Good." Kane checked his remaining ammunition. After the fighting through the ship's corridors, they were running low. "Nervous means sloppy. Chen, you have the charges ready." She patted her pack. 8 electromagnetic pulse devices, modified to match the frequencies we found in their systems. Once they go off, their stolen tech will be offline for at least 30 seconds. All we need is 10. Kane gathered his remaining team, now down to 9 after losing 2 more in the corridors. "Remember, when the EMPs hit, they'll be blind and deaf. That's when we move." The plan was simple, like all the best plans were. Diana's team would create a distraction at the far end of the command center. While the aliens responded, Chen would plant her charges at key points around the room. When they detonated, Ghost's team would eliminate any guards who tried to maintain order. And Kane would go for the command core. 3 minutes, Ghost reported. "They're changing guard shifts." Kane nodded to Diana. "You're up." Her team moved like shadows through the ship's maintenance passages, another oversight by the aliens. They'd become so dependent on their advanced sensors that they'd forgotten the importance of physical security. The explosion, when it came, was spectacular. Diana had saved their best charges for this moment, and the blast sent alien guards rushing toward the apparent breach. Through his scope, Ghost tracked their movements. "Chen, go." Like a ghost herself, Chen slipped between cover points, planting her modified EMP devices. Each one was primitive by alien standards, simple electromagnetic pulses powered by chemical reactions rather than advanced power sources. That was why they would work. The aliens had no defenses against such basic technology. Charges set. Kane checked his shotgun one last time. On my mark. The command center had descended into controlled chaos. Alien officers barked orders as guards established defensive positions against the perceived threat. None of them looked up, none of them considered that humans would dare attack the heart of their empire. Mark. The EMPs detonated simultaneously. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen, no flash, no bang, just a subtle ripple through the air. Then every piece of alien technology went dark. Screens died, weapons powered down, and even their personal shields flickered into nothingness. In the sudden darkness, primitive weapons proved their worth again. Ghost's team struck first, their conventional bullets finding targets with deadly accuracy. The aliens, suddenly stripped of their technological advantages, fell into disarray. Some tried to fight back with physical strength, but centuries of reliance on advanced weapons had left them unprepared for close combat. Kane moved through the chaos like a predator, his shotgun booming in the confined space. Each shot found its mark, each blast reminded the aliens that humanity had perfected the art of killing long before energy weapons existed. "Command Corps," he shouted over the din, "push forward." The aliens attempted to rally, to form some kind of defensive line, but they had forgotten how. Their entire military doctrine was based on overwhelming technological superiority. Without it, they were lost. Chen's team flanked them, using simple combat tactics that had been developed thousands of years ago. The aliens, for all their stolen advances, had no counter to basic pincer movements and coordinated fire. Core room breached. Ghost reported. Inside, they found what they'd been looking for, the quantum computer that coordinated the entire invasion fleet. Its crystalline structure pulsed with stolen energy, its displays showing the battle still raging outside. And before it stood the High Commander of the alien fleet. Unlike Valor, this alien was massive, its natural armor supplemented by technological enhancements. Even with their EMPs active, some of its systems still functioned, evidence of redundancies they hadn't known about. "Primitives," it snarled, its translator still functioning. "You dare." "That's right," Kane chambered his last shell. "We dare." The alien moved with surprising speed, its enhanced muscles launching it across the room. Kane rolled, letting it crash into a bank of dead consoles. The thing was strong, but it moved with the awkwardness of something that had never needed to fight without technological assistance. "You think you can defeat us?" it roared, swinging a massive arm. "We have conquered 1,000 worlds." "No," Kane ducked under its guard, his combat knife finding a gap in its armor. "You've stolen from 1,000 worlds. Not the same thing." The fight was brutal and swift. The alien commander had strength and reach, but Kane had something it didn't, experience in real combat, not mediated through technology. When his knife finally found its brain stem, the alien's look of surprise mirrored Valor's. "Core secured," Chen reported. "Uploading the virus now." They had discovered it in the scout ship's databases, a simple but devastating piece of code that would turn the aliens' stolen technology against them. Once uploaded to the quantum core, it would spread through their entire fleet, disrupting the careful balance of their patchwork systems. "Upload complete," Ghost confirmed. "Effect in 3, 2, 1. Outside, the alien fleet suddenly went dark. Ships began drifting, their stolen systems turning against each other. Some exploded as incompatible technologies tried to occupy the same space. Others simply shut down, their crews helpless without their technological crutches. "Send the signal," Kane ordered. Chen activated the transmitter they'd brought, a simple radio device that broadcast on frequencies the aliens had long since abandoned. Across Earth, military forces received the same message: attack now, while they're blind. The response was immediate. Every remaining missile, every fighter jet, every weapon humanity possessed launched at once. The aliens, their defenses scrambled by their own stolen technology, could only watch as primitive weapons tore their fleet apart. "We need to move," Ghost warned. "This ship's core is going critical." They fought their way back to their entry point, where Diana had secured their escape route. Behind them, the mothership began to tear itself apart as conflicting technologies destroyed it from within. The extraction was as crude as their insertion: repurposed escape pods, ballistic trajectories, and timing. But it worked, because sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. From the relative safety of Earth's atmosphere, they watched the alien fleet destroy itself. Ships collapsed into quantum singularities, their stolen power sources turning against them. Others simply drifted, their crews abandoning ship in vessels that looked suspiciously similar to the ones humans had used thousands of years ago. "Look at that," Chen said, pointing to the escaping alien crews. "Without their stolen tech, they're just like us. Having to figure things out the hard way." "Not quite like us," Kane corrected, cleaning his shotgun with practiced ease. "We remembered how to fight. They forgot." The debriefing at the Pentagon took hours. Military leaders struggled to understand how a small team with primitive weapons had succeeded where advanced technology had failed. Politicians demanded explanations they could give to the public. "It's simple," Kane told them, his scarred face reflecting the overhead lights. "They thought technology made them invincible. They forgot that real strength comes from here." He tapped his head, and here, he tapped his chest. In the days that followed, humanity began collecting and studying the alien technology that littered Earth's orbit. But they did it carefully, learning and understanding rather than simply copying. "We'll advance," the president declared in a worldwide broadcast, "but we'll never forget our roots. We'll never forget what saved us when technology failed." Kane watched the broadcast from his bunker, his shotgun still within easy reach. The alien invasion had taught humanity a valuable lesson, one written in blood and victory. Technology was a tool, not a crutch. And sometimes, the old ways were the best ways. Above, the stars shone clearly now, no longer obscured by alien ships. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and triumphed, not through superior technology, but through the very qualities the aliens had dismissed as primitive. They had won because they remembered how to fight, how to think, how to adapt. They had won because when everything else failed, they still knew how to be human. And that, Kane reflected as he cleaned his primitive weapons, was the most advanced technology of all.